is Citizen Weekend with Olive Barrows.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to Citizen Weekend. If you're wondering why I'm not dressed formally right now, it's because we're going to get into matters of football tonight. We're going to be looking forward to AFCON 2027. East Africa was given the CAF flag at the end of the AFCON in Morocco. So we're up next. Are we really so backward that we cannot host a match or a tournament of that nature? That is one of the questions that was asked of CAF, and so I'll be getting into that with my panelists tonight, as well as what was all that drama. Okay, to be honest, you already know. I'm learning these things as I go. But what was all the drama with the Senegalese assistant goalkeeper running, trying to protect a towel? What was going on with that? And then what would have happened if Senegal did not come back to the pitch to conclude the final? Did the Moroccan guy, did he forfeit that penalty? Was Senegal denied a goal? We get into all of that with my seasoned panel tonight, and you can see them on the screen. There we have Elias Makori, who is the head of media, AFCON 2027 Local Organizing Committee. We also have Nicolas Musonye, who is the chair, AFCON 2027 Local Organizing Committee. But first, let's take a look at the highlights. One person dead, vehicles destroyed. Chaos and destruction follow a petroleum tanker explosion along the southern bypass in Langata.
After 4 hours ikiisha tena wanani-induce na hawanifanyii chochote, hivyo tu, hiyo ndio imekuwa system. Sasa inaumwa sana.
A mother's heartbreak as she lives with a dead fetus after Kitengela Level 4 Hospital allegedly turned a blind eye to her pain.
Sasa tukaambiwa tuingie hapo nje tutoe pesa ndio aingie ndani. Juu tukua na pesa tukarudi jumbani.
Frustrated parents as school heads grapple with the cost of hosting learners without in boarding schools. A year after Citizen TV exposed the illegal donkey meat trade, our follow-up reveals the slaughter continues, shielded by powerful players. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yula Nzale. And we begin our bulletin with a deadly road accident along the southern bypass. One person was burnt beyond recognition and 5 vehicles destroyed when a fuel tanker collided with another truck. Witnesses say the Saturday morning crash happened when the fuel tanker driver lost control while overtaking, hitting a pavement before swerving into the opposite lane. The collision with an oncoming truck sparked a massive explosion, as you'll see now in this report by Gatete Njoroge.
Saturday morning along Southern Bypass, a massive fire blocks the busy road. 2 trucks are engulfed in flames, while another truck sat parked on the opposite side with no other vehicles in sight. About 30 minutes later, firefighters from the Nairobi County government managed to put out the blaze. Only after the fire was contained did the grim reality become clear. One truck driver had been killed when the tractor unit was completely consumed by the flames. The fuel tanker involved was left a burnt-out shell on the road. Witnesses say the accident occurred around 10 a.m. when the fuel tanker driver was overtaking another truck that struggled to gain momentum on the hilly section. The driver lost control.
Ikagonga pavement. After kugonga pavement, ikaruka mpaka ikavuka kwa barabara hii ingine ya kuteremuka. Kufika hapo kuna lori ilikuwa inatoka mbele. So venye ime lose control, ile gari ikaigonga, ikaendelea kuisukuma, ndio hiyo kichwa ikaanguka kwa bridge chini. Alafu driver wenye alikuwa ndani akatoka na akaruka.
From there moto imelipuka. Baada ya moto kuisha, tumeenda tukaangalia pale Tumeona kama kuna moja ameungua ndani ya gari na tangi yangu pia imeungua.
Among those left counting their losses were 3 car owners. Their vehicles had been parked at a nearby car wash when the accident occurred. One car was completely destroyed by the fierce flames, while the other 2 were partially burned.
Gari yangu nilikuwa nimeacha car wash. Moshi imejaa, kujaribu kukimbia kutoa gari, watu wakaniambia nisijaribu kuingia hapo. Ndio moto umefikia gari yangu imechomeka. Pande moja ndani imechomeka kabisa. Hata kuguruma haiwezi guruma.
3 hours after the accident, the rescue team managed to retrieve the remains of the truck driver who collided with the fuel tanker. Emotions ran high as relatives rushed to the scene upon learning of the tragedy. The deceased, identified as 55-year-old Hussein Aliyo, was burnt beyond recognition. A post-mortem was conducted and his remains were laid to rest according to Muslim traditions. The driver of the fuel tanker was rescued by emergency responders and rushed to hospital where he is receiving medical attention.
Zingine zinaharibika hapa, zinakaa kama wiki na hizo ndio ina cause accidents sana.
Police have launched investigations into the incident, which has sparked panic among residents and motorists over the safety of tanker trucks on the road.
One of the trailers has been moved to the station for further investigation. And the other one, we are also waiting for the owner. Now, because it has the tank has fuel, the EPRA team are here. They now take the lead on this.
Following the accident, there was traffic gridlock along Southern Bypass, with trucks and other vehicles waiting for the wreckage to be removed. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The government's directive for grade 10 learners to report to school in spite of their financial ability has put school heads on the horns of a dilemma as they struggle to meet the other needs of learners. Some boarding schools have defied the directive, citing their inability to provide essential items such as mattresses, blankets, and personal belongings for the students. As Brenda Wanga reports, the Ministry of Education says targeted interventions will be announced next week once the actual number of vulnerable learners is confirmed.
The dry and dusty path leads to Edna Moses' home in Nyaribari Chache constituency. Here we find mother and daughter, defeated and dejected. The last 48 hours have seen their hopes rise and fall again in devastating manner.
Hata kukula hapa ni shida. Sasa mimi naona hata matumaini ya kurudi shule hayako tena. Ndio ya mtu naona hapa.
Those who are present.
That hope had been awakened when the president ordered that all grade 10 learners report to their respective schools with or without school uniform and fees. Mose and her daughter had neither of this requirement. With hope, they traveled to Nyabururu where Joy Kwamboka, who scored an impressive 63 points in her KJSEA, had been called. Those hopes came crashing down on arrival at the C1 school.
Sasa tulifika huko. Hatukuwa na kitu, tulikuwa na ni barua ya Nyabururu tu na bag, na alikuwa amevaa uniform za ile shule primary alikuwa anasoma. Tukafika huko, sasa tukaambiwa tuingie hapo nje tutoe pesa ndio aingie ndani. Hatukuwa na pesa, tukarudi nyumbani.
The aspiring engineer now faces an extended stay at home as her mother scrambles to raise the funds needed to secure her admission and sustain her in boarding school.
Amelia usiku na mchana akitamani kuenda shule. Sasa hatuna kitu ya tutauza tumpeleke shule. Hatuna uwezo.
The government, however, maintains that regardless of the situation, learners should be admitted.
All learners must report to school, whether they have school fees or they have no school fees. That should give parents time to be able to raise the requisite fees. As you're all aware, we are in free secondary education, free day secondary education. And for secondary schools, most of the schools don't charge anything except fees for school, fees for uniform, and fees for food. That is the only amount they charge. And there are schools which are denying students an opportunity to go to school because of lack of fees for uniform, for example, or fees for food, for example. And the president has made it very clear that even if a learner doesn't have uniform, they can still report to school and look for money later.
But aside from those items, school administrators who spoke to Citizen on condition of anonymity cite other requirements. For learners who show up without anything, it falls on the schools to provide mattresses, blankets, sheets and other personal grooming items. Costs the school heads say they simply cannot meet. Speaking to Citizen TV on phone, CS for Education Julius Ogamba urged school heads to consider the learners on a short-term basis, stating that the ministry will issue an official statement on Monday on the exact number of learners needing urgent admission. He also says the government will find ways of intervening. Joy and her mother will be waiting for that statement and intervention with renewed hope for yet another go at senior school education. Maybe, just maybe, the aspiring engineer will find her way to the start of her journey again. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
Those stories really break your heart. Tonight, Kitengela Level 4 Hospital is on the spot for failing to help a young mother whose child died in the womb. The woman, identified as Abigail Mutubula, says she went to the facility on Thursday expecting a baby. Tests would later confirm the fetus had died in her womb. Abigail says since then she has not gotten help from the doctors despite her condition deteriorating each day. When Citizen TV visited the facility, they found Abigail in a sorry state outside the hospital's gate. Franklin Wala reports.
It was a heartbreaking scene outside the Kitengela Sub-County Hospital. A young woman in agony and grieving after suffering what doctors call an intrauterine fetal demise or the death of her baby in the womb. Relatives are helping her walk back to the hospital as she vomits blood. Abigail Mutubula is her name. She says her child died in the womb and she has been in this state since Thursday when scans confirmed that. She alleges the doctors at the facility have done nothing to remove the dead fetus and save her life. She has been in this state for 3 days, moving door to door and seeking help from the medics without success.
After 4 sikisha tena wanani-induce na hawanifanyi chochote, hivyo tu, hiyo ndio imekuwa system. Sasa naumwa sana. Nasikia maumivu sana.
She says she came to the level 4 facility expecting a baby. After medical examination, she was told the fetus was lifeless. But what left her heartbroken is how she was treated thereafter. The only thing medics did was to induce labor.
Nikafanyiwa scanning na ikapatikana mtoto hayuko akik. So from there nikaambiwa niende CS. Hadi wakaniletea karatasi nikasign ya kwenda CS. So after vile nilisign hivyo na daktari akakuja akaniambia hakuna haja niende CS, wani induce dawa ya uchungu. After kuindusiwa hivyo nimekaa hapo from yesterday jana. Wanani induce tu dawa na uchungu na hakuna usaidizi mwingine tena.
We followed her inside the facility, but the facility locked her outside the maternity ward, despite the pain she was going through. At the gate, hostile nurses and security guards confronted the patient without care of what she was going through.
Wanatuambia wanampea dawa za kupushi mtoto. Kutoka jana saa 1 mpaka saa hizi tunaambiwa wanampea bado dawa ya kumpush. Sasa sisi tunauliza mbona? Tukienda hapo tunafukuzwa, tukienda hapo tunaambiwa nini?
After our efforts, Abigail was admitted. In a phone call interview with the management, they assured us they were going to take care of this patient.
Kutuzungusha na wakaanza pia kuwa wakali. So tulipojaribu kuuliza kwa nini waweke mtu mwenye ako na mtoto amekufia kwa tumbo siku 3 na mtoto kama ataozea kwa tumbo inaweza kaleta madhara. Kufanyike kama kuna vinye kunaweza fanyika huyo mtoto atolewe kwa tumbo. Wakatuambia hiyo wamezoea hizo drama na kila kitu. Tumeitisha transfer, wamekataa kumpatia transfer yoyote kwa sababu tumeona kama hasaidiki.
Such scenes reflect the sad state of public facilities across the country. Unfortunately, the majority of Kenyans endure these conditions with no one to turn to, while the state continue to make promises that remain unfulfilled. Franklin Wala, Citizen TV, from Kitengela, Kajiado County.
Locked out of the maternity ward, what a traumatic experience. Luo Nyanza leaders in the ODM party have endorsed party leader Oburu Oginga to spearhead talks between ODM and the ruling UDA party. The endorsement follows a decision by the ODM Central Committee giving the green light for coalition negotiations with President William Ruto's UDA. The leaders made the declaration during the Lake Region Community Dialogue held in Kisumu. At the same time, calls were made for a National Delegates Conference, NDC, to ratify the decision through party structures. With more is Melita Oletenges.
It is a new dawn for the ODM party leader Oburu Oginga, whisking away any doubt of not being backed by his backyard. Luo Nyanza leaders gathered in Kisumu for the Lake Region Community Dialogue to endorse Oburu Oginga to steer the ODM-UDA talks and front his political tough interests and those of ODM.
To confirm to Dr. Oburu Odinga that the Kilifi Declaration and the pact that they have done for this community to lead this party to the next phase is endorsed by this crowd.
The leaders were backing the Kilifi Declaration adopted by the ODM Central Committee, which mandated Oburu Oginga to begin formal negotiations with President William Ruto's UDA party. However, the move has faced resistance from a section of youthful party leaders, including Raila Odinga's daughter Winnie Odinga, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, and the party's Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who have called for a National Delegates Conference to allow party members to decide.
Hakuna decision itachukuliwa kutoka kwa dirisha. Chama iko na structures and the decisions will be made through the relevant party structures. And once they are approved, there will be no reverse gear.
Party leader Oburu Oginga dismissed claims that ODM would be weakened by a coalition with UDA, insisting that ODM would negotiate from a position of strength.
Kanye okora adong kaka Joshua. Mane kaka Jakom Raila no wacho no adhi Kanan. To an kaka Joshua abiro neno natero u Kanan, tatero u Kanan kaka adhi mne Singapore.
We commit to responsible, consultative and issue-based leadership that prioritizes the social-economic transformation of our people.
On the political differences and cracks within the Oginga family, Oburu said he remains committed to unity and reconciliation.
So much they are my children, and I cannot utter anything against them. I cannot even argue with them, because I really don't see anything to argue about.
Oburu's support to spearhead negotiations extended from the meeting venue to the streets.
Daktari Oburu Odinga yeye ndio Gen Z na ndio chairman wa Gen Z.
Na bado tumesimama na broad base na tunataka broad base iendelee kama tuko ndani ya broad base.
The ODM leadership is expected to take its endorsement campaign for Oburu Oginga to Kisii tomorrow in a meeting hosted by ODM Deputy Party Leader Simba Arati. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
On the other side of the political aisle, leaders close to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua have touted him as the best candidate to lead the opposition in the 2027 presidential race. Speaking at two rallies in central Kenya, Gachagua and his allies criticized government policies they described as unpopular and regressive, promising to reverse them if elected. Ayub Abdikadir has more.
Gachagua's Kenya Kwanza Day campaigns kicked off in Kirinyaga County, a bastion he before his removal from office toward as the administration's second in command, calling out the government of what he labeled maladministration, pledging to undo mistakes made before the last elections.
Kwa sababu niliweka nini kwa shimo ya kumleta kwa Kasongo, mimi ndio nikaongoza safari ya kupeleka Kasongo nyumbani aende mpaka Kasongo.
So we want to ask William Ruto, before you start dishing out job opportunities to Raila's family, first of all, Make sure that you compensate wale Gen Z ambao walikufa katika maandamano.
In Karatina, Nyeri County, the DCP entourage sought to dilute recent political forays by President William Ruto. Gachagua basking in the glory of his political home turf, discrediting his former boss, President William Ruto.
Ati unasimama unatuambia, nimeambia kila headmaster, mtoto asifukuzwe shule. Watoto yetu wamefukuzwa wewe. Watoto yetu wamefukuzwa wewe. Wamefukuzwa wewe.
Kama unataka kuja kutoa shukrani ya kura ya 2022 kwa sababu 2027 hupati, upatie wananchi wote wa Nyeri kila mmoja 10,010.
Tulienda harusi na gari ya Kasongo. Kufika kwa mtu akatuambia tushuke. Mimi aliponifukuza pamoja na watu wetu wote, alinifukuza mimi ama sisi yote? Alifukuza mimi ama sisi yote? Hapa kuna mtu amebaki wa Kasongo? Kuna mtu amebaki wa Kasongo?
The former deputy president and his company called policies by the Kenya Kwanza administration sluggish and holding back the country's progress.
I'll restore the dignity of the payslip. Hii mshahara watu wanakatwa nitasimamisha.
Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Meanwhile, Kenya Kwanza leaders have intensified attacks on the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of fueling division in the country. Led by President William Ruto's personal assistant, Farouk Kibet, Senate and National Assembly majority leaders slammed Gachagua over his constant criticism of government policies and development in northern Kenya, accusing him of preaching tribalism. The leaders spoke in Marsabit County while attending a women empowerment program. With more is Francis Mtalaki.
The empowerment drive led by the government made a return to the northern Kenya on Saturday, with President William Ruto's personal assistant Farouk Kibet, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, and his Senate counterpart Aaron Cheruiyot leading the initiative. It is in this forum where Kenya Kwanza leaders sustained attacks on former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, accusing him of fueling division and preaching tribalism.
Muko tayari kwenda mbele? Wale watu wanahubiri ukabila huku sako mnasema waende ama wakuja hapa? Waende? Wapi mkono niangalie watu ya huku sako?
Tusilete vita ya vurugu na ukabila. Mumeona hata wale watu wa siasa ya ukabila, wale wa matusi ambao wameambiwa hawana agenda, hawana sera, hata nyota hawana. Mambo ya kuchochea wananchi na uongo na fitina, ati kuambia ni viongozi wao ndio wamewanyima maendeleo, ilhali policy ya serikali ilikuwa ni kubagua maeneo kama haya. Hiyo ni mambo ya uongo ambaye haifai kuruhusiwa.
The leaders are pledging to rally behind President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 political contest, saying the Kenya Kwanza administration has delivered on key development projects in the region.
This guy is a perpetual liar, is a divisive person. He doesn't want anybody or any part of this country to remain peaceful, and that is why he's undermining the leadership of His Excellency the President, and is undermining our leadership.
Kwanza sehemu kama za Marsabit na North Eastern, nyinyi mnajua na kila Mkenya anajua kwamba mumechelewa sana katika maendeleo. Sehemu nyingi za Kenya zina mabarabara mengi ya lami. Nyinyi hamjakuwa na barabara za lami. Kweli si kweli?
Leo hii ni Rais William Samoei Ruto ameamua kwamba aende Marsabit ajenge barabara, aende Marsabit ajenge stadium, aende Marsabit ajenge soko, aende Marsabit alete dam ili wafugaji pia wao wasikie ni kama jamii ya Wakenya.
Huyu William Ruto habagui. Huyu William Ruto anashikilia kila mmoja, na ndio maana wengine wanakasirika kwa sababu hawataki wamama wa Marsabit wasaidike. Wao wamezoea ni wao peke yake wanafaa kusaidika.
Francis Mtalaki, Citizen TV.
Now imagine this. At just 17 years of age, a young girl took the bold step of walking over 60 kilometers from her home to join the convent and become a nun in the Catholic Church. This is the story of 93-year-old Makina Nyambura, one of 10 sisters under the Sisters of Mary Immaculate, who was celebrated earlier today in her Diamond Jubilee as she clocked 70 years of service to humanity and the church. Kama Mwangi attended the celebrations and is here with this report.
Organized at their mother house in Mathare, Nyeri County, family and colleagues of sisters under the Sisters of Mary Immaculate gathered at the St. Joseph's Conventry in celebration of 25, 60 and 70 years of service by their kin to the church. Among those present, one remarkable figure stood out. 93-year-old Sister Makina Nyambura, who today marks 70 years of dedication to her calling. She began her journey in 1950 at just 17 years old. Her sister, Anne Wamboe, says it almost never happened as their father, then a seminarian at the same institution, initially did not approve of her choice.
So my father came for her and they went to court because my father wanted to take her back home. But as they went to the judge at those days, early days, the judge asked the sister, why do you want to become a nun? It's a calling from God, and I need to serve in the church.
After the judge gave her a year to decide whether she wanted to continue serving the church upon turning 18, Sister Makina never looked back. Living at the conventry during that time, she remained steadfast in her calling. Wamboe says Makina's journey in service to humanity has been nothing short of exceptional.
Sister always used to hold somebody who is looking for an employment, especially the kids here she had helped, to take them to Mrs. Masharia, the managing director of Raw Media. And she would talk to Mrs. Masharia to employ the lady. And Mrs. Masharia could always honor sister's request.
She was our family dentist. She was the one who used to sort out all the tonsil issues anyone had. So for me, in my head, I thought she was a doctor. But I always wondered, why doesn't this doctor take off the clothes even when she's not in the hospital? And then I was told these are not doctor clothes, she's a nun and she will never wear any clothes. She has dedicated and devoted her whole life to the Lord.
In the ceremony presided over by Nyeri Archdiocese Archbishop Emeritus Peter Cairo, Sister Nyambura and her fellow jubilarians were hailed for their selflessness. They also renewed their vows to the institution that has guided their life's work.
Mungu tu ndiye anatuwezesha kuendelea na mito yetu mbalimbali. Ukiwa na shida, ukiwa na vishawishi vya shetani. So only the grace of God can help us to continue up to the end.
Kama Mwangi, Citizen TV, Mathare, Nyeri County.
All right, we take a break on Citizen Weekend, but when we come back, you want to stay tuned because we have what the Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale had to say about questions raised on inclusivity as far as appointments to the Social Health Authority are concerned. Coming up on the other side. A year after Citizen TV uncovered the illegal trade in donkey meat, our follow-up reveals the slaughter continues, with powerful players shielding the business.
As an MC, I need to walk the talk. It's a walk I've walked many times. It's okay, everyone. Hakuna Shida. Thanks to new Ariel Liquid, it's all good.
New Ariel Liquid for washing machines. Brilliant stain removal in one wash.
United with vision, united with power. Kona ni digital, kona ni nafuu, kona ni jumuiya. Kona, namba ni kwanza. Kona, namba ni kwanza. Kona.
Join Corner Sacco on joinus.cornersacco.net.
This January, give yourself permission to slow down and reconnect. A pause before the year takes over. A reset that feels calm, not forced. Reset in Diani, where time feels unhurried, the ocean moves softly, and every day invites you to simply be. From 43,000 Kenyan shillings per person sharing, enjoy 3 peaceful nights in Diani. White sands, calm waters, and moments designed to help you come back to yourself. Because the year doesn't need to start fast. It needs to start right. Start somewhere quiet. Reset through our view. View travel. Dream, explore, discover.
Are you a Kenya government civil servant na uko na ka emergency? Maybe your child is sick, rent is due, or unexpected trip came up. Usijibox kwa noma. Borrowing on MyMobi is now upgraded to a whole new level. Forget that old story of filling out forms or waiting for HR to approve your loan. MyMobi is now instant self-approval. Simply apply for your loan, enter the code sent through SMS to approve the loan, and the cash hits your M-Pesa instantly. Sasa, hakuna mambo ya payroll imefungwa. Sort noma zako anytime, any day. Whether it's a weekend, holiday, or the middle of the month, MyMobi is open 24/7. Dial *531# and get up to 20,000 shillings to sort your emergency. Repayment is easy. Pay early via M-Pesa or let it be deducted from your next payslip. The choice is yours. No paperwork, no drama. Ni wewe tu na simu yako. With MyMobi, now you're in control.
It's big, bigger than you can imagine. It's massive. It's the biggest jackpot. Shabiki Super Jackpot sahi ni 100 million. Yes, predict 17 games na 99 bob na ujishikie 100 million. Bonuses ni from 13th correct prediction. Na ukipata zote wrong, usiworry, bado kuna bonus. Hii ndio jackpot. Shabiki Super Jackpot is now at 100 million. To play, download app ya Shabiki on Play Store or SMS SJP to 29063.
Gaming is addictive. Play responsibly. Not for persons under the age of 18. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by BCLB, license number BK 0001080.
Papers Kamakis, call 0727 941 734.
Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness. Sunlight 2-in-1.
Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale has defended the recent recruitment of senior county officials at the Social Health Authority, insisting that the process was based purely on merit. His defense comes amid a heated national debate after it emerged that 2 communities claimed nearly half of the 47 positions. Crispin Otieno reports.
Just days after Kenyans got a glimpse of the list of newly recruited officials at the Social Health Authority, social media erupted. The public fury came after it emerged that 2 communities claimed 22 out of 47 positions, raising questions about regional balance and fairness in public service. Speaking in Garissa County, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale spoke out to defend the list, insisting the recruitment process was transparent and free from political influence. Duale emphasized that the appointments are handled independently by the authority's board and management.
And I don't interfere with how SHA recruits, how Kenyatta Hospital recruits. They have got boards, they have got management. But the concerns of Kenyans will be addressed.
On the other hand, Health CS Aden Duale acknowledged Kenyans' concerns but said the country must also address historical injustices, especially in public service recruitment.
And we must correct historical injustices. And that historical injustice is not me saying it. It is in the Public Service Audit It is a Public Service Commission audit. It is in a national cohesion and integration report.
Despite his defense, Duale promised to seek a detailed explanation from the authority on how the recruitment was carried out.
And as a minister, the buck stops with me. And tomorrow, Monday, I will call both the board and I will call the management of the Social Health Authority to take me through. And I am sure I have confidence in the entire leadership of the Social Health Authority.
The tough-talking cabinet secretary also used the event to announce a key policy shift in the health sector. Beginning February, all men and women in uniform currently under the Public Servants Medical Scheme will be transitioned to the Social Health Authority. Crispino, TNO Citizen TV.
Widows in Kenya continue to shoulder the heavy burden of systemic oppression despite laws meant to protect their rights. Many, particularly in rural areas, face land disinheritance, physical violence, and forced evictions as part of their daily reality. However, administrative leaders in the Nyanza region have launched sensitization campaigns aimed at easing the plight of widows and safeguarding their right to shelter. Through the Widow Empowerment Initiative, spearheaded by the Internal Security and National Administration Principal Secretary, Dr. Raymond Omolo, lives are being transformed one roof at a time. Hear more from Laura Otieno.
9 a.m. on Sunday, and Grace Abuom tidies up her home in Katieno village, Seme. A rosary hangs from a wooden plank extending from the roof frame, a quiet symbol of how far the mother of 5 has come. For nearly 2 decades, Grace lived as a squatter at the Katieno market. The death of her husband in 1998, she says, plunged her into an abyss of neglect. What began as abusive words soon escalated into full-blown threats to her life and that of her children.
Nikajaribu kujishikilia, simeji yangu ilifika mahali akaniambia kama unafikia huyu mtoto kijana ndiye amekuweka hapa, nitakuchoma na yeye kwa nyumba.
These words hung heavy on her soul. Crushed and defeated, she left her matrimonial home with 5 children in tow. Kilometers away in Kolwa, 85-year-old Meresa Apollo tends to her kitchen garden. Beside her lies the debris of what was once her home. The structure, having chipped walls and broken furniture, offering a haunting glimpse of life before disaster struck. She was displaced by floods in 2020, but returning after the waters receded opened up a new and hostile chapter. The floods, she says, washed away any shred of humanity from her in-laws, who declared her a stranger on her own land and even dragging her through the corridors of justice.
Court anaamua anasema endeni mugawa hii udongo kwa sababu udongo hii ni ya bwana. Hawanakata, ajui kama nafanyika, hata kama nafukuza na ngawa nyumba yangu, mimi bado jua.
The plight faced by Meresa and Grace mirrors that of thousands of widows across the country, particularly in cases where the deceased left no will. According to the Law of Succession Act, a surviving spouse and children are entitled to the personal effects of the deceased as well as life interest in the remainder of the estate. This grants the surviving spouse the right to live on the land and use income from any property of the deceased for their lifetime. The Matrimonial Property Act of 2013, Article 27 of the Constitution of Kenya, as well as regional instruments signed and ratified by Kenya, also ring-fence the rights of women, guaranteeing their rights to property. In spite of these progressive laws and policies, community awareness remains a challenge, prompting chiefs to take the lead in sensitization.
Because this is a cosmopolitan area, we can go house to house, inform them through our village elders that whenever they had made any case concerning law of succession or inheritance, they come to offices or they go to the village elder, then they accompany them to our office so that we tell them the right thing on what they should do.
all is not doom and gloom. For Grace and Meressa, there is now a measure of relief. They are among thousands of widows who have found temporary reprieve under newly installed gleaming roofs, offering shelter and a sense of security reminiscent of the protection they once knew when their husbands were alive. The houses are part of the Widows Empowerment Program, an initiative aimed at restoring dignity and stability to some of the country's most vulnerable women. Spearheaded by Internal Security and National Administration, PS Dr. Raymond Omolo, lives are being transformed one roof at a time.
Pande tena ninarudishia Raymond Omolo, asante. Akaniletea kiti, ndio hii. Ameniletea meza, ndio hii. Yawa, kitanda, bed cover, bed sheet, ya mattress hii. Pillow pia, atenuia.
The program has been supporting widows since 2023, offering not only financial support through table banking, but also dignifying the living standards of widows across Kisumu, Migori, Homa Bay, and Siaya counties.
We always train them on the issue of farming. That one can help them, even when we are not there. It's something which will help to sustain them and also their children.
Amid ongoing challenges, the gleaming new roofs cast a glimmer of hope for the widows who have so far benefited from the program.
Despite the existence of several laws that protect vulnerable groups, including women, implementation remains a challenge. For now, community sensitization remains as the only hope to save hundreds of thousands of widows and accord them a chance at a decent life. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV. We also have another special report coming up, as you saw earlier, on the illegal donkey meat trade. But immediately on the other side of this break, we get into matters AFCON as we switch gears. Stay tuned. ODM Coast leaders hail President Ruto's move to nominate Ida Odinga to UNEP.
Guess how long line zetu za stima ziko? 320,000 kilometers. Hii ni transformer. Stima ya hii kitu ni 11,000 volts.
This is a 220/66,000 volts transformer. It's 20 times ile transformer unaona kwa neighborhood yako imekelewa kwa pole.
Hii sasa ndio final. Inaitwa transmission line. These lines transmit power from big stations like Olkaria at 200 up to 500,000 volts. Pamoja tu angana.
The Nyota Project's business support component is transforming lives and empowering beneficiaries who've completed the essential 3-day business skills training. Over 100,000 vulnerable youths across Kenya's 1,450 wards are receiving vital support to launch their ventures. Join us live this Tuesday from Kilifi as youth from Kilifi, Lamu and Tana River counties celebrate with their awards. The event will be graced by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. Tune in on Citizen TV Tuesday, January 27th from 11 a.m.
Tired of late rides and shady charges? Itisha Wigo. Na Wigo, you get more than just a ride. Unapata on-time pickups, gari safi na fresh every time. Ride V-Smart, ride V-Safe, na Wigo. Download the app now ama SMS Wigo to 2045. Wigo, your trusted ride.
Improve your KCSE subject grades to meet cluster requirements and qualify for your dream course such as nursing, medicine, and other competitive courses. Bridge College offers specialized bridging programs in biology, chemistry, mathematics, and physics designed to help you upgrade your grades and unlock your future. Register for our 2026 intake before KCSE curriculum is phased out in 2027. Visit Princely House along Moi Avenue. Bridge College, from knowledge to opportunities.
Please can I have that and oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Ukiwin, beshte yako Angel Loco Shop win too. Hii ni the Cadbury Big Win-Win. Nunua any Cadbury chocolate including new Cadbury Dairy Milk ya 55, 12 and 6.5 gram. Scan QR code ama utume hai kwa WhatsApp kunominate beshte yako na your local shop. Wewe beshte yako Angel Loco Shop mnaweza stand a chance ya win your share of 3.5 million shillings in prizes and instant airtime with every entry. A win for you is a win for all. T's and C's apply.
Don't whistle. That's why we have this bell, Armando.
Oh, right, I forgot.
Juanita. I know. Come on, throw me that bell. Well, let's try to do both. Juanita! Oh, my dear.
GoTV inakupa more shows. Juu wewe ni wetu.
That's right.
Lipia package yako, tuko upgrade to the next package on us.
Yes!
That's good to know.
Experience Swiss-based education in the heart of Nairobi. Through immersive hands-on training, we prepare you for the real careers in culinary arts and patisserie, international hospitality management, and events management. Develop skills that employers actively seek. Access international placements, travel, work, grow through our global network as you position yourself as a future leader in hospitality and events. Welcome to the Boma International Hospitality College. Admissions now open for January and May 2026 intakes.
All right, as promised, we get into that conversation on AFCON 2027. What lessons can we take away from Morocco? I am joined in studio by seasoned journalist, and he has brought the proof. He has brought the receipts because he's brought his award. This reads Legend Elias Makori, Kenya, for his legendary contribution to the development of sports journalism in his country, and it was awarded by the AIPS, which is the International Sports Press Association. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. He is also here in his capacity as a head of media, the AFCON Local Organizing Committee. Sasa, unajua wengine wetu we did not know. We were finding out later because I was working that night. Although the drama was happening a little bit later. The final between Morocco and Senegal, those last few minutes, have you ever witnessed, because you were there, you were in Morocco,
yes.
Have you ever witnessed such drama?
I mean, I've never ever witnessed such a drama. First of all, let me pass apologies of my chairman, Mr. Nicholas Musonye. He was held up in another meeting, couldn't make it. I mean, looking at that final, it was more exciting being in the stadium watching things happening outside the stadium, outside the field of play. You know, the ball boys chasing around the reserve goalkeeper who was protecting, you know, the towel that goalkeeper Edward Mwandi was using, and it kept on being taken away by the Moroccan players who thought it was juju. So it was quite a lot of drama.
That was the reason.
That was the reason. You know, sometimes it happens a lot in some African countries where, you know, a goalkeeper will go and, you know, put a towel in the goal line and, you know, goals don't go in. That's what people believe. And I think Morocco had that very strong belief that Eduardo Mendy, the only way to beat him is to take away his, you know, goalkeeper's towel. But, you know, the essence of the towel is to use it, you know, to dry the gloves. It was raining that night, and Mendy needed to make sure he had the grip. So he kept on going to his towel, you know, rubbing his hands. But, you know, the Moroccan captain, Hakimi, came on, took the towel, threw it, you know, to the ball boys.
I saw that.
Yeah, a Senegalese teammate came, threw it back, and you know it went on and off. There were more towels brought. The reserve goalkeeper Diouf now came and stood behind the goal, holding the towel and making sure that it's not thrown away. And even then, he was chased around by the ball boys. So there's a lot of drama happening behind the cameras, and it was fun to watch, but unfortunate for African football.
Okay, so because there was also speculation that this was an attempt at sabotage, because if the goalkeeper can't dry his gloves, then his grip is slippery.
Yeah, actually, a few minutes ago, a few hours ago, there was a game in Kericho, Shabana and AP Bomet. The first goal Bomet scored actually slipped through the goalkeeper's gloves. So you need to have a grip as a goalkeeper, and that's why they use the towels to, you know, rub the gloves and make them, you know, the friction is there to hold the ball. Moroccans, I think they overreacted.
And then let me ask you this. Senegal walinyimwa goal.
Ukiangalia, to be honest and to be fair to the referee, that goal was contentious. Should have been taken to the VAR because there was a player who was pushed, in the course of Senegal scoring. The referee was shaky, but that particular decision, as a football analyst myself, I think should have been taken to the VAR, and I can't say they were denied a goal.
Okay, so had the ref blown the whistle at that point?
No, I mean, he made his decision, said the goal, he overruled the goal, and play continued. And, that's when it got dramatic going into extra time, Morocco getting a penalty. Again, theories flying around that Brahim, the guy who took the penalty, deliberately fluffed it to make sure that, the game remains balanced and there's no controversy. But I don't buy that. I think Senegal, the gods of Senegal were with them on the day, and they had to win. Because,
guys, there was really that argument whether this was about fair play, quote-unquote fair play, trying to even out the odds. Other people were saying, no, look at this, he was crying. Therefore, he did not, miss on purpose.
No, I think he just missed it because he's the guy who aggressively went to the referee demanding for him to go to the VAR to award the penalty. He was pushed by the defender, Senegalese defender, and he ran to the referee saying, hey, ref, these are penalty. You need to go and check it. The referee checked, gave it to him. Other Moroccan players, incidentally, were afraid of taking the penalty. So Brahim went and took it. Eduardo Mendy is very experienced. In football, most goalkeepers dive ahead of the shot, guessing that it might go either way. So he thought Mendy would go either left or right, so the best thing was to go center and, chip it. They call it a panenka, where you do a cheeky chip. And Mendy, he was experienced enough to get that one.
Oh, I kept hearing panenka. I thought they're talking about panko breadcrumbs from Japan. Anyway, lastly on this, because I want to get to Kenya, when Senegal walked off the pitch, so what happens in an instance like that? Do you forfeit the game? Do they play another day?
It has happened before in the Africa Cup of Nations. You forfeit the game on a 2-0 basis and you get a very, very heavy penalty from CAF, the Confederation of African Football. And that's why I really give it up to Sadio Mane for rallying his troops. They had actually gone into the changing room. The coach told them, let's go back home. We can't stand this. Then Sadio Mane went, consulted with the former players, Ladji Diouf and, Claude Leroy, who is a famous coach. And he decided, no, we have to play. Let's end this game, whatever happens. And I remember I was seated next to a Moroccan fan, and he was supporting Mane, saying they should play on because you never know, the penalty could be missed, and that's what happened. So Mane really took it up as an experienced player and brought the guys back. It would have been a disaster, fines, a huge anticlimax to an otherwise great tournament.
So is it Pepe Thiaw or?
Pepe Thiaw,
Pepe Thiaw.
Yeah.
Yes. So I saw this video where, and I promise we're getting to Kenya, where he walked into the media room and then the Moroccan journalists walked out. I don't know whether that was an accurate interpretation of events.
Yeah, we really need to give it up to our journalists for the level of professionalism that we exhibit during events like this. The Moroccan journalists actually took him on and they were booing him, they were calling him names. You don't do that in the media, in the press conference room. He got mad and decided to walk out. That's what happened. The Moroccan journalists were too emotional. We understand, as a Moroccan national, there's a lot of emotions going around. But as a journalist, you have to be as neutral as possible. Even if your team is losing or winning, just be professional, focus on the game. Don't start calling the coach names. Even if I was the coach, I would have actually run out, not even walk out. I'll have run out of that press conference.
Yeah, and I saw he was walking in, I don't know whether it was his daughter or there was a young girl with him. All right, so we come to East Africa, right? So there was a question that was posed by an Ivorian journalist, as I understand it. So I've pulled up the quote. So he's quoted as having said, I have been to East Africa and I know there is infrastructure, and I know, like most of West African countries, when you leave the capital city, the remaining part of the country is a bush. That is a reality, and you do not have top-class stadium. The roads may be good, but they are not highways. You take a lot of time traveling. And the CAF president actually said, good question. Your thoughts?
No, President Mosepe is very diplomatic. I mean, he wanted to tell him off, but he just tried to play diplomacy. I think Mamadou needs to see a doctor. He has a serious problem of attitude. I know he came here in August during the CHAN finals. There was a press conference by FIFA president, and also the CAF president. He was there. But I doubt if he got out of the CBD. He came from the airport, came to the press conference. I doubt even if he, ventured outside Nairobi. So I think he should see a doctor because he doesn't know about East Africa, about Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Claiming that it takes 2 days from one country to another. Well, we all know that it takes, under half a day to get to Arusha, to get to Kampala. So he was talking from a point of misinformation. But the point he was trying to drive across is Morocco has raised the bar very, very high, and it will be a very hard act to follow. And on that note, I agree with him. Morocco, we cannot compete with them. The kind of facilities they have, they're even building the biggest stadium in the world in Casablanca, 115,000 seater stadium in Casablanca. They are co-hosting the World Cup in 2030 with Spain and Portugal, and already they have things running, the infrastructure, new trains coming up, new roads, new hospital facilities. So in terms of that, we agree, we are behind Morocco. But in terms of roads and Africa being a bush, I think we need to invite Mamadou, and I'll talk to my chairman to give him a car. Make sure he goes to Kampala. We drive with him to Kampala, and we drive with him to Dar es Salaam so that he can show us those bushes and confirm that indeed there are roads that can take less than a day to get across the border.
We do have bushes even in the capital, up on Nairobi National Park. Hopefully you can facilitate as well. But how ready are we? I know Motsepe talked about the reason they were insistent that CHAN is held in East Africa is as sort of a trial, right? A trial run. How ready are we? Yesterday there's a report, sports anchor Emmanuel Ndongo told us that Talanta is 80% of the way there. Tuko wapi kwa hiyo on that road?
Tuko sawa. Me, I'm confident, and I'd like to thank President Mosepe for what he's done for African football, making sure each region hosts the AFCON. North Africa have hosted, Southern Africa, Western Africa, and now it's time for East Africa. It's the Pamoja time for Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. He has really worked hard to make sure that CAF is in a sound financial footing. He announced a 95%, for example, increase in revenues. Ticket sales from the last AFCON, there were 5 million, and in Morocco there were 11 million. So you can imagine the multiplicity of revenue. So by the time we come to Africa, AFCON is evolving. The social media space will be more active that time. There's even an esports game that has been created by a Japanese company called Konami on AFCON. And you know how tech-savvy Kenyan Gen Zs and other people are. So it's going to be a different AFCON. We can't beat Morocco in terms of infrastructure, definitely, but we'll beat them in terms of tech and in terms of hospitality. At the media center, for example, it was, you buy your meals in Morocco. That was the standard. The food was not for free. But in Kenya, whenever there's a championship like this, you're treated to a 3-course menu and a drink in the evening. So we'll beat them on hospitality. That one I'm very sure about. The Raila Odinga International Stadium, as it is called now, Talanta, is going to be ready. And I believe it will be the showpiece stadium that will most certainly or most probably host the final. There are equally good stadiums in Uganda and Tanzania. The Hoima Stadium in Uganda is just complete. The Samia Suluhu Stadium in Tanzania is almost complete. So there'll be at least 3 new venues in East Africa and the other secondary older venues. So I believe we will host a great AFCON.
Mm-hmm. Now, security was a big challenge with CHAN, right? People were even penalized for that. There were issues with ticketing, issues with accessing the facilities safely. What efforts are being made to make sure by the time AFCON rolls round, we are ready?
I'd like to thank the government, especially, through the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Honorable Salim Vuri, and PS Elijah Mwangi, for giving us an opportunity to go to Morocco and benchmark. And in our delegation, there were security officers who attended high-level meetings. I had a meeting with the CAF head of security, Dr. Christian Emerua, who took them through what Morocco did. Morocco did a fantastic job in terms of security. There was 0 incident. You could walk with your phone on the streets. You wouldn't be marked because there was what they call Africa Police Cooperation Center. It was a a hub where, you know, there were cameras all over the country. Each team had a security officer who knew almost each fan. And, you know, you could monitor each hooligan, you know, real time on camera. So it was very, very difficult for, you know, people to do anything. But even after the final, you know, Morocco and Senegal, despite what happened, after that, you know, Moroccans and Senegalese fans were having beer on the streets and celebrating. It was one big party. So they got security absolutely right, because at least 2 kilometers before you get to the stadium, you need to prove that you have your ticket. And there was no these Juakali tickets. There was an app called Yala. You go there, you know, you buy a ticket, it comes on. When you go to the stadium, there is nothing like, you know, somebody letting you in. You just show the QR, you scan your code, and you go in. There was, once you arrive at the airport, there was this supporter's guide. It's a guide that takes you through what the supporter needs to know. You know, the do's and don'ts, the culture of the Moroccans and everything. And then there was a media guide. It's called the Ultimate Guide for journalists to read. So, I mean, there was no reason that, you know, they could fail in terms of security. And it's good our security officers were in Morocco, and we really need the government. It's good to see the Ministry of Interior working closely with sports to take our officers through training. You know, you could not see a Moroccan policeman with a baton or tear gas, you know, chasing people around. It was about, you know, civilized kind of conversation with the fans, knowing how to control access to the stadiums. And another big, you know, plus for Morocco are the fan zones. Because if you couldn't get your ticket, there was a fan zone where you could go watch on a big screen, live entertainment. You know, Burna Boy was there. We enjoyed Burna Boy shows. So some fans actually preferred, you know, going to the fan zone than going to the live match at the stadium.
That's a really good idea.
Exactly. We need to have Burna Boy and Kenyan artists performing.
Bien,
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight and giving us insight. And we will continue to engage, because this is not a sprint.
Exactly.
It is a marathon, and I know the AFC fans, Gor Mahia fans, I want to know, can we bring Vuvuzela, can we bring our cocks to, you know...
The do's and don'ts. The do's and don'ts itakuwa kwa guide.
Okay.
We should produce one like this, and I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary and PS will be giving details in the next few days to come.
All right, thank you so very much. We transition from matters AFCON to matters special report. A year after Citizen TV uncovered an illegal trade in donkey meat in Kenya, it is emerging that the illicit trade continues, with influential entities facilitating business in donkey meat, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas in the country. In Turkana, Machakos and Embu counties, donkeys offered a lifeline for the residents as a means of transport, easing the burden on women. But today, donkeys are under threat as they are stolen and slaughtered. In our follow-up to the story, we established that at least one slaughterhouse in Turkana County is operating illegally in Lodwar and is under 24-hour police protection. Our three-part series on the illicit slaughter of donkeys takes you to Turkana and Machakos counties, and also focuses on the measures being put in place to rescue donkeys and end the illegal trade. Here is Citizen TV's Miriam Nyambura with Season 2 of our special series, Donkey Beef.
Turkana County is home to over 900,000 Kenyans. A significant number of the residents here are pastoralists. This community depends on donkeys for transport and even survival. For some families, however, the donkey is offered as payment during dowry negotiations.
Punda alikuwa anatusaidia kwa kubeba maji, kuleta nyumbani, kwenda kwa duka ambaye iko mbali, unapeleka mpaka huko unanunua chakula yako unaweka, funda inaletwa chakula nyumbani. Pia nasaidia kwa pande ya mbuzi ndogo ndogo hii kuchotea maji.
Donkeys offer an economic lifeline as they thrive in the harsh arid land. But this animal is now on the verge of being wiped out. For the past decade, the donkey's population in Turkana County has significantly reduced. Theft of the animal for slaughter is rampant since the ban on slaughtering was effected in 2020.
Mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa na funda karibu 40. Hiyo funda 40 haiko sahi. Nimepotea sana. Sababu ile imebaki sita tu.
A slaughterhouse run by Chinese nationals in Lodwar town is reportedly notorious for slaughtering stolen donkeys from Uganda, which borders Turkana to the west and South Sudan to the north. Locally, the animal is sourced from Kakuma and other parts of Turkana.
Nilikuwa nafunda 40. Tangu wakati hiyo mpaka saa hii nimepoteza fundo 20.
Wale punde nimepotea ni 20.
Nimepotea 20. Sasa kulingana na ukame imechangiwa tena ikabaki na 15. Fundo 15 sasa.
At the slaughterhouse, it is not only the meat that is extracted. The hides are also highly valued, processed for use in anti-aging products, and even marketed as a purported booster for male libido in China. Citizen TV went undercover for 4 months to investigate an intricate syndicate behind the illegal trade. In the outskirts of Lodwar town, a silent illegal trade is behind the woes of hundreds of residents here who have lost their animals. An aerial view of this slaughterhouse shows little to no activity. One would mistake that this is an abandoned structure. Our sources say this was a donkey slaughterhouse.
Maneno ya punda ilianza kupotea wakati Chinese walianza kuchinja. So ndio ikafanya hata punda kwa kila county ama area ikaisha. Sababu hao watu walikuwa wanapeleka huko. Kwa hiyo factory ya Chinese ilikuwa inachunjwa huko.
At first it proved difficult to ascertain if there was any form of trade ongoing here, with conflicting accounts from witnesses who told us that the slaughterhouse was in operation, and officials from the slaughterhouse who insisted that there was no such activity. 5 days into probing whether the trade was ongoing, and the truth began to unfold. Drone shots captured donkeys inside the compound and police officers manning the premises.
Kuingia hapo ni vigumu kwa sababu maafisa ndio wanalinda pale. Hata kama wewe ni nani, hauwezi ruhusiwa kuingia pale. Watakuuliza kama uko na warrant.
With such heavy security on guard 24/7, we could not make a move. We headed back to Nakuru, where we had a sit-down with the security teams, led by the Regional Commissioner Dr. Abdi Hassan, former Rift Valley Regional Police Commander Jasper Ombati, Commander Administration Police John Amadadi, and the Regional Criminal Investigations Officer Charles Mwangi on how to gain access to the premises. After successful deliberations, we embarked on our journey back to Turkana, this time escorted by a protection team of 8 drawn from Kenya Police, Administration Police Service and the DCI. Our third visit confirmed our fears. The gate is under 24-hour surveillance from 2 Kenya police officers who are in uniform and armed. We find 3 Chinese nationals who are within the premises. One of the workers who spoke to Citizen TV on condition of anonymity, laying bare damning details about the illegal trade.
Na hizi punda huwa zinachinjwa na mashini. Punda ikiingia dakika moja tu ishachinjwa, wametoa ngozi, nyama imetolewa.
The Chinese nationals who at first declined to open the containers.
Aidha tufunje hii na tuangalie chenye iko ndani, sababu tayari tuko na hizo punda. Sawa? Ambia kuliko mambo mengi afungue. Sababu kukataa hata hiyo ni makosa.
Finally caved in. A pungent odor immediately emanated from the site. What followed was a shocking revelation: raw pieces of meat stacked inside. One by one, the officers accompanying us removed each sack.
Ile nyama mzee yenye mlipata hapo, ya nyama mdosi wao alikuwa amesema inaweza oshwa. Ikioshwa itarudi upya, itarudi kama ni fresh. Alafu ipelekwe Uchina. Na bado kwa hiyo nyama kulikuwa na ngozi.
But once the containers were cleared, another discovery awaited. Huge sacks were stored further inside. The officers opened the sacks only to find they too were stacked with meat. According to our sources, the stored meat can remain in such conditions for years.
Hizo nyama ambazo huwa zinapatikana kwa punda huwa zinawekwa katika fridge. Nyama imekaa hadi miaka 3, miaka 2, na ngozi nayo huwa inakaushwa. Ikishakaushwa wajue imekaushwa vizuri, kuna kusafirishwa.
Sources further indicate that the meat and hides are destined for China, but some are used locally by unsuspecting consumers working in various Chinese construction sites.
Haswa wale wanajenga barabara, hizo nyama huwa wanasupply kwa ile maeneo ya ujenzi. Na ngozi huwa inatolewa, lakini sielewi ni wapi huwa inaenda, lakini kuna gari ambao huwa inakuja ikibeba hiyo ngozi.
According to sources, the donkeys are mostly stolen from unsuspecting residents and sold to the company. That explains why there is a spike in reported cases of donkey theft in the area.
Kwa wale ambao wanafanikiwa kuleta punda pale ndani, huwa wanalipwa kulingana na uzani wa punda.
A kg of donkey meat ranges from 110 to 130 shillings. The skin is sold for 15,000 shillings.
Kuna vijana ambao wamepewa hiyo kandarasi ya kusafirisha ngozi, na hiyo ngozi namna inavyoingia hapo ndani inakuja kwa mwendo wa kazi, inashinda hata gari ya kubeba miraa.
We established that transportation of the illegal meat and skin is done in the dark hours of the night.
Hili no liko na CCTV. Wewe before ufike kwa gate huko ndani, hao wa Chinese na wale watu na maafisa huko wameshaona ni mtu wa aina gani ambayo ako kwa gate.
During the security operation, some staff members agreed to speak to us on condition of anonymity. They revealed that 3 weeks before our arrival with police officers from the regional team, 2 trucks left the slaughterhouse headed for Mombasa port. The trucks used the Lodwar, Lokichar, Kainuk, West Pokot, Kitale town to Nairobi route.
Ilishikwa wakati ilifika Rokichar. Rokichar wakalala siku moja. Wakaachiliwa wakaenda Kainuk. Kainuk wakalala siku moja, wakaachiliwa wakaenda Marichi. Wakashikwa siku 2. Marichi ndo polisi waka escort gari hadi Kitale.
The owners ensure there is no money trail that could expose their business. With less than 10 workers, the operation is kept deliberately small, tightly controlled and shrouded in secrecy.
Maafisa ambao tunafanya hapa ndani tunapewa cash money, na maafisa wa kutoka kitengo cha Kenya Police au vile vile wanalipwa, na pesa zingine huwa zinapeanwa kwa wakubwa wao, kwa sababu hao wakubwa wao ndio wamewaleta hapa ndani. Na hapa ndani pesa ziko enough, hawatumi pesa kwa simu.
The illegal trade is now exposed. Residents are warning that the community risks losing all its donkeys.
Tulipiga kelele tukaambia serikali ajaribu kufunga ile soko ya punda. Kwa sababu hiyo soko ndio anampatia punda nguvu kabisa.
Detectives arrested 3 Chinese nationals found without proper documentation. Investigations established that 2 had no work visas, that theirs had expired in 2015, while one possessed a work visa that placed him in Nairobi. Yet he had been living in Lodwar for weeks. Miriam Nyambura, Citizen TV.
I hope you'd already had your supper, because I'm feeling like becoming a vegetarian at this point in time. All right, that special report by Miriam Nyambura will be uploaded to our digital platforms. Just search for Citizen TV Kenya across the board: YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Instagram. Well, whichever you frequent, you will find more there. Now, ODM party leaders have endorsed the nomination of Ida Odinga, widow of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, as Kenya's ambassador to the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP. and they spoke under the umbrella of the ODM Women Leaders, the party saying Ida Odinga has made significant contribution to national development, consistently advocating for equality and championing women's rights. They added that her commitment to environmental conservation and women's issues will benefit Kenya on the international stage. ODM Deputy Party Leader, that is Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasser, said the appointment will enable Kenya to strengthen its influence at the United Nations.
Her appointment is not only a personal milestone, but also a victory for women, educators and advocates of justice across the country. It reaffirms the place of women's leadership in shaping Kenya's present and future, both nationally and internationally.
Mukiona tuelekea pahali fulani, tunajua wazi ya kwa licha ya yote yalotokea, mikono bado tunashikana. Na licha ya yote yatakayotokea, mikono yatashikana hadi mwaka 2027 ili tuweze kujipanga kwa mwaka 2032.
Royal Media Services news anchor and producer Mwanahamisi Hamadi has been named among Kenya's most impactful women, buttressing her efforts in empowering women through impactful storytelling. Others who made the list include Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu, Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni, as well as environmental conservationist Trufena Muthoni. In a report published on Friday, Timely Kenya said the study highlights women whose leadership and influence have made a visible difference across various sectors nationwide. The report also stated that the listed women had distinguished themselves through clear and measurable achievements, which include societal impact, resilience, leadership qualities, relevance to the youth, and a positive public perception. Another reminder on that special report by Miriam Nyambura, Donkey Beef, Part 2 and 3 will air on Sunday, tomorrow and Monday. So you definitely want to stay tuned. We take a break, but the sports news on the other side. Gor Mahia stand Bidco United 2-1 with stoppage time win to extend lead at the top of the league table.
Imagine 24/7 monitoring system voltage and frequency to ensure it's no more, no less. Welcome to National Control Center. This is where we control the country's power generation. These screens enable us to see the entire network, the generation and the demand. You have to generate power, transmit it, deliver it to the substations, all the way to the transformer, and finally to you. Pamoja Twang'aa.
Would you like to work in Dubai or Saudi? M-Ajira is connecting you with top employers in these and many more countries. We have openings for jobs as taxi drivers, bike riders, cleaners, security guards, construction, and many more. We offer full recruitment support from application, placement, and guidance on visa processing and onboarding. To apply, visit our website www.m-ajira.com. Complete your profile and our systems will automatically match you to the right jobs. Find us on TikTok at m-ajira.digital or Facebook at m-ajira or call 0709-488881 for more information. M-Ajira, your gateway to credible global opportunities.
At MKU, we believe education goes beyond the classroom.
This is for the dreamer, the go-getter.
It is about engaging with ideas, questioning assumptions, working collaboratively, and finding creative solutions to the challenges of our time.
Intech is in progress. Mount Kenya University, unlocking infinite possibilities.
Mabati Factory Limited brings you January offers. Get corrugated and box profile at 388 per meter, brick tile at 401 and Roman tile at 500. Relax at home and enjoy free delivery countrywide. Call us on 0722 638383 or order now at www.royalmabati.com.
At St. Peter and Anne Medical Center, Ruaka, we believe healthcare is more than treatment. It's trust and unmatched care. Available 24/7 for emergency response and critical care, we are committed to investing in top-tier dental and imaging services. Utilizing advanced ultrasound and X-ray diagnostics guarantees precision at every stage of the process. Our inpatient wards offer comfort, safety, and compassion. Our modern laboratory delivers results you can trust. St. Peter and Anne Medical Center, here when you need us most. Your health is our priority.
Thank you for staying with us on Citizen Weekend. On to the sports. Gor Mahia kept their title charge rolling, coming from a goal down to beat Bidco United 2-1 in a dramatic Premier League clash at Kasarani. Brian Odo fired Bidco ahead in the 26th minute. Matt Kogalo hit back through Ebenezer Asifwa Ikom in the 63rd minute. Just when it looked headed for a draw, Paul Ochwoga struck deep into stoppage time to steal all 3 points for the Green Army. The win lifts Gor Mahia to 36 points from 17 matches, opening a 3-point gap over second-placed FC Leopards. In other results, Shabana drew 3-3 away to APS Bomet. Police beat Mara Sugar 1-0. Bandari and Kariobangi Sharks played out a goalless draw, while Poster Rangers and Mathare United shared the spoils in a 1-1 stalemate.
Referee akiongeza dakika 9 inamaanisha tulikuwa tunacheza, inamaanisha tulikuwa tunalala tu. Kipindi cha kwanza ameongeza dakika 3, kipindi cha pili ameongeza dakika 9. Na kwa hizo dakika 9 ndio tumeconsider. I think after 7 minutes tumeconsider.
In the second half we made some subs which was good from our technical men in a way to still attack and also look for the goals, and eventually it happened, and so we are very, very happy. It's a good win, a good fight, and we can only be glad that it went through this way.
Nairobi United held a light training session at Nyayo Stadium on Saturday as they stepped up preparations for their must-win CAF Confederation Cup third group stage clash against Tanzania's Azam tomorrow. The city side are desperate for their first group stage points after losing their opening 2 matches to Wydad Casablanca and Maniema Union, a run that has left them rooted at the bottom of Group B. And in a bid to turn their campaign around, Nairobi United have strengthened their squad with several new signings, including former Gor Mahia striker Benson Omala, as they look to keep their quarter-final hopes alive at home.
It's just a normal game, but what I've learned from all those matches, from the players that I've played against, I think it's just a little bit of, let's say, to me, I can step up because I've played against so many experienced players.
The players, they're in a good shape. They're eager to work. They're eager to get their first win in this Confederation Cup. And I believe tomorrow we will have very positive results in our team.
KCB RFC stomped to a comprehensive 45-3 victory over Black Blood in a Kenya Cup clash played at the Kenyatta University grounds, producing a dominant first-half display that all but sealed the contest. Mike Wekesa opened the scoring for KCB before Festus Shiasi added a second try, with Nick Okulo extending the lead to 19-3. Brian Wahinya converted against his former side to make it 26-3. Levi Amunga then crossed after a well-worked move down the right, with Wahinya again on target from the tee as KCB stretched the advantage to 33-3. Sheldon Kahi completed the rout with a pick-and-drive try against his old club as KCB sealed an emphatic 45-3 win.
I think it's something that has been begging for some time. We've not had like a good start of the game, apart from the Masinde Muliro game that we started well and went on to win well. The rest of the 4 fixtures have been a poor first half, a good second half. I think it's a pattern that we need to break for us to compete, and we are going to look back, look inwards, and then see what we can do.
We ideally won the game in the first half. Second half was a bit scrappy, I think, because of bodies and the weather. Probably the boys were a bit tired and sluggish, but we managed to close down the game in the final end of the game. So I think we had a good outing, and it's going to be a part of our building block towards the remainder of the season.
Ability Sport Kenya elected a new office on Saturday at the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi. The process began with the dissolution of the previous interim office by Advocate Wilson Alumasa in the presence of Sports Registrar Rose Wasike. Agnes Olwoch was elected unopposed as chairperson to be deputized by Alfred Simiu. Edwin Murwa retained his position as Secretary General, while Carol Wanjira was elected treasurer unopposed. Boniface Mutua and Charity Njoki Kamau were elected as committee members. Affiliate federations present included Power Chair Hockey, Para Dance and Para Fencing. President-elect Olwoch said her priority will be identifying and nurturing grassroots talent across all 47 counties. The new leadership will serve until 2030.
This opportunity for the 4 years that we are going to serve, I promise you that we'll do our very, very much best to uplift the game in Kenya of disability sport.
The members felt it good to elect me. So I just want to assure you, as the president of Ability, I will work hand in hand to ensure that we put ability sports to another level. We will ensure that we also go to grassroots, reach out to schools and tap in new talents, grow ability in a big way.
Big sports night tomorrow as well for Arsenal and Man U fans. Jeff Koinange and myself, as well as Emmanuel Ndungu, will have all the highlights on Citizen Sunday Live. I've been your host, Olive Burrows, and Yulan Zale has been our sign language interpreter. Citizen Weekend makes way for Diaspora Connect. We've been to Morocco, we've been to East Africa, we came back to East Africa, and now we head to Maju, yani even beyond the continent of Africa with Neville. Stay tuned.